A controversial state lawmaker and pastor stands behind his pulpit here at his church and explains why he will not resign, despite serious accusations against him.
There's no perfect people. And you get into office, and all of a sudden, political hacks want to come against you.
We'll see a sharp warm-up tomorrow. Cold front moves through. That generates possibly some mix and snow showers. Timing out when to expect them in your area next.
Streets look like rivers and lakes. Families trapped in their homes, cars nearly underwater, all after a massive Louisville water main rupture. What went wrong? Thanks for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth Woolsey.
And I'm Gilbert Coursey. Millions of gallons of water spilling out onto Louisville streets right now.
WDRB's Travis Ragsdale explains what happened this morning that had rescue crews scrambling. Travis?
Yeah, Elizabeth, this water main break has caused all sorts of problems all day, all over Louisville. Actually happened back at Oak and Clay Streets here near Shelby Park. This is Clay Street right here, and actually water is still probably about ankle deep, but probably the best view of this comes from the WDRB Skycam. As we go up here with the Skycam, you can see upwards over Shelby Park as we're looking at the flooding throughout this area. Again, that water main break occurred around 7 o'clock this morning near Shelby Park at the intersection of Oak and Clay. The last word that we got from the Louisville Water Company was that there was one valve still that needed to be closed by the water company. This is a water main that is over 100 years old. It was actually put into the ground in 1893. It's collapsed today. Now, as far as what might have caused the collapse to occur, that's still under review. And actually, the Louisville Water Company can't yet get to the water main to look at it. Here's what a Louisville Water spokesperson had to say earlier.
So lots of things can cause a water main break. I mean, it could be anything from the pipe itself. It could be the weather. When Louisville Water puts a pipe in the ground, we expect for it to last at least 100 years. So this particular pipe has lived a great life.
So again, we're continuing to follow this here.
Travis, obviously a really dangerous situation. We can still see the water behind you, cars going through. What are officials doing right now to keep people safe?
Yeah, so one of the things that happened earlier this morning was 3 people actually had to be rescued. 2 people were in a van and they had to be pulled out by the Louisville Fire Department. They were safe though. They were able to get out of there safely. Another person was actually in a JCPS bus. A bus driver had to be rescued right here on Clay Street. Actually, the water got up too high, so certainly a difficult situation this morning. The good news is that the water has receded for now, and as soon as that last valve can get shut off, then the Louisville Water Company can get in there and start and begin repairs.
Travis Ragsdale reporting live for us. We'll see you again at 4:30. Travis, thank you. And in about 15 minutes, we're going to check in with Mike Marshall for the best ways that you can avoid the detour associated with the water main break, how you can get around this traffic headache. Shifting now to a Kentucky lawmaker accused of molesting a teenage girl who refuses to resign.
WDRB's Lawrence Smith explains. Representative Dan Johnson denies he did anything wrong just today. Lawrence?
Well, Johnson stood in the pulpit of the church where he is pastor and essentially said the accuser is lying. He said politics is behind the accusation.
I'm not standing here today to step down or to resign or to do anything like that.
The sign in front of Dan Johnson's Heart of Fire church says, "Satan accuses, God says you're not guilty." And that's exactly what Johnson is saying about the accusation that he molested a 17-year-old girl in 2012.
This allegation concerning this lady, this young girl, absolutely has no merit.
In a story published by the Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting, a young woman says a drunken Johnson assaulted her in an apartment located in the church's fellowship hall. Johnson says the girl did attend his church, was a friend of his daughter, and received counseling from his wife, Rebecca.
I don't want to get into details there, but there was nothing to do with me or any sexual thing to do with me. So whatever, happened after that, I don't know why she would make that up.
But later, Johnson said politics is behind the accusation and likened himself to Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore and to President Trump.
There's a lot of people that are willing to jump to judgment without any proof.
Johnson's wife angrily defending her husband.
The night that the girl said all the crazy stuff she said, she was with my daughter, sleeping in the same bed as my daughter. So there you have it.
It's not the first time Johnson has come under fire. During his campaign for the state house last year, WDRB revealed posts on Johnson's Facebook page many considered racist.
There's no perfect people.
Johnson says he can still do his job despite the fact that both Democrats and Republicans have called on him to resign.
Anybody that has gotten wobbly in how they're standing with me in the political ranks, they need to toughen up a little bit.
And Johnson says he will run for re-election next year.
So, Lawrence, what are you hearing from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle who were calling for his resignation?
Well, so far, nothing new. They're all saying that they're standing by previous statements that Johnson should resign. Governor Matt Bevin not going quite that far. He says if any official who has a sexual assault or harassment claim that's been settled, proven, or admitted to be true should resign. That seems to exclude Johnson.
So you have both Democrats and Republicans saying that Johnson should resign. Could he be forced out of the House if he doesn't resign?
He could. It would take a 2/3 vote, a censure, then 2/3 vote of the House. It has to be for what's called breach of protocol, which is a wide-ranging thing. So it's very, very unlikely it could happen, especially since he's not been convicted of a crime.
Where will this go from here? Do you think there will be an investigation? Because lawmakers are looking into Representative Jeff Hoover, which is a very different situation.
Yeah, LMPD originally looked into this, did not file charges, but Mayor Greg Fisher has ordered LMPD to re-examine how it operated in that case.
All right, Lawrence Smith, thank you for your reporting. And coming up at 4:30, we'll have some reaction from our Facebook friends and let us know what you think about this story right now on the WDRB Facebook page. We will read some of your responses in our next half hour.
I warned you it was going to be cold this afternoon. I knew stepping outside it was going to be cold. At the same time, I still feel like I wasn't ready for it to be this cold. At least we've got some sunshine out there. Some of the flurries, mixed showers we saw earlier in the day are now making their move off to the east, and you can see those are now into Virginia, West Virginia, moving towards the Atlantic coast and away from our area. So what's left, like I said, the upside here, we've got plenty of sunshine. Our skies are partly cloudy to mostly sunny outside right now, but it doesn't tell the story. It is 33. Our winds are west at 18 miles an hour. And I told you this afternoon we'd see wind chills between 15 and 20 as you headed home from work. Right now it's 22 in Louisville. But let's look around the area. I mean, is this representative of the area? Shelbyville's wind chill right now is 16. It is 16 right now in Shelbyville, 22 in Campbellsville, 24 in and a balmy wind chill of 30 in Jasper. Bottom line is, as you step outside this evening, it is obviously going to be cold. 7 p.m. 30, wind chill probably around 22 to 25. 9 p.m. we're 28, and the winds will be coming back a little bit later. 11 p.m. we're 27 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see a warm up. That's the good news. The bad news is we'll see a cool down late. Could create some snow squalls. Timing out when they're most likely in 10 minutes.
All right, Mark, we'll check back with you soon. Thanks. A Henry County wife is accused of killing her husband. WDRB's Joel Skipper explains why police think she did it.
It was in this house behind me. Investigators say the woman shot and killed her husband with a single bullet to the back of his head.
When I got a phone call that there'd been a murder here on Drennan, beside of the church, well, I knew that was the Bentley household.
Carolyn Sharp owns Sharp's grocery store just a mile down the road to where investigators say this woman, Tasha Bentley, killed her husband Gary around 8 o'clock Sunday morning.
He was a very pleasant person, always a smile on his face. I mean, he was a person that you would think you'd get to really get acquainted with.
According to police, 33-year-old Gary Bentley had thrown the couple's young son onto the bed, and when Tasha intervened, he began kicking her. After Gary Bentley was asleep, she allegedly grabbed her silver Ruger and shot him in the head. Investigators arrested Bentley and charged her with murder. Jars of marijuana were also found in the house.
Tasha was friendly too. She was always laughing. I mean, everything was okay with her.
Investigators say more than 20 guns were taken from the home's safe in an attempt to make the murder look like a robbery. Because of that, Bentley has also been charged with tampering of evidence. Kentucky State Police tell WDRB deadly domestic disputes like this happen more often than people may think.
Not too long ago, there was another incident very similar to that in Gallatin County. So things like that happen. I'm not saying it's prominent, but it does happen.
The couple's 4-year-old child is staying with relatives for the time being.
They were good people. Just something went wrong somewhere.
This investigation is ongoing, and Bentley remains in the Carroll County Detention Center. Reporting near Campbellsburg, Joel Skipper, WDRB News.
A Radcliffe man admits to spanking a 6-year-old girl daily with a switch, but he's not the only one facing charges. 29-year-old Zachary Dukes made the confession to police Monday. Police say the child had visible bruising on her lower back and buttocks. Officers called Dukes' actions cruel punishment and abuse. Police say Dukes' wife, 23-year-old Brittany Moore, admitted to being there when it happened and allowing it to take place. Both are charged with criminal abuse of a child. Good Samaritans jump into action to put out a fire at an Indiana restaurant.
2 people at a business across the street say they saw black smoke and flames coming from a Chinese restaurant yesterday in Columbus. They darted across 4 lanes of traffic to tell the owner that the building was on fire, then wrangled up some extra fire extinguishers from nearby businesses. It was ruled an accident, and firefighters applauded the Good Samaritans' selfless actions for saving that building. 74 years after he was killed in World War II, a Kentucky Marine finally returns home.
Albert Strange was only 18 when he was killed during the Battle of Tarawa in the Pacific Theater in 1943. His remains arrived at the Louisville International Airport this morning. He had been declared missing in action until his remains were recently identified. Graveside ceremonies are scheduled for noon tomorrow in Cave City.
The need for more affordable housing. What else was released in a new report?
Plus, Minion Mania in New Albany. How this man's creative Christmas decorations are winning smiles around the world. Louisville's rental eviction rate is among the highest of 50 metropolitan cities.
WDRB's Valerie Chin examines a new report on affordable housing. Val?
More people in the region are renting than buying homes, and a new report reveals the reasons why.
It's a 3-bedroom, living room, kitchen, 2 full baths.
Karen Mensa has lived in her Smoketown apartment for 2 years.
Right here, this is subsidized housing, so it's affordable, you know.
But the 2017 State of Metropolitan Housing Report just released shows a need for more affordable housing.
An average 2-bedroom apartment for the region is probably somewhere between I think it's around $750, but that is certainly going to vary.
The number of renters locally has increased by over 9%. Reasons include more demand for renting by the millennial generation and foreclosures pushing some people to become renters. While new expensive apartments are continuing to go up in downtown Louisville, there have been protests over low-income housing proposals in other areas.
Private sector developers are driven by making a profit, and understandably so. So we do need more tools from the government side to support and incentivize that type of development.
The report looked at 9 housing indicators and tracked affordable housing in the 13-county Louisville metropolitan area, which includes 5 counties in southern Indiana. It says a rental market continues to be racially segregated.
We need to understand why Louisville has the 7th highest eviction rate of the 50 largest metropolitan areas.
The Metro Housing Coalition recommends establishing short-term low-interest loans for people in danger of eviction.
It is hard for some people to find affordable housing. It's just that, I was just fortunate to apply for this and be accepted.
To read the report, just head to our website, WDRB.com, and click on this story. Live in downtown Louisville, Valerie Chin, WDRB News.
Valerie, thank you. 400 minority business leaders are trying to make deals to create jobs right now. The Tri-State Minority Supplier Development Council hosted its conference today at the Galt House in Louisville. UK alum Derek Anderson served as guest speaker. The thriving entrepreneur went from homeless and hungry in Louisville at age 11 to winning an NBA championship with the Miami Heat.
People don't realize if you do things together, you get more done. You know, so I think that anytime that you can help and build a community, especially when they're given opportunities and jobs and helping everybody be better, that's what we need to do.
Bring more business into a minority firm, it causes expansion. Expansion creates the need for more employment. More employment increases the purchasing power, and it strengthens our communities as a whole.
Tri-State Council connects minority-owned companies in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee.
New stores could soon move into the old Kmart building in Hikes Point. Louisville-based Triple M Investments Company plans to divide this building on Taylorsville Road in half. But it isn't saying which retailers could move into the space. The plan also calls for 2 freestanding restaurants to be built, a pharmacy, and an auto service center. The Thornton's gas station would stay. The Kmart last year. Banks have been pushing stocks higher, with the Dow shooting up by triple digits. Energy stocks and the price of oil slid. The Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the third time this year. The Dow ends up jumping nearly 119 points to close at 24,504. The Nasdaq, however, gives up 13 to finish the day at 6862. And that's today's business news.
WDRB weather, sponsored by Baptist Health, centered on you.
There's definitely the potential for a show tomorrow night, and this is going to be a meteor shower. This is the Geminid meteor shower, which peaks tomorrow night. What I will tell you, the problem with this is it's going to be clouds. The upside to this one is potentially 60 to 120 meters per hour, which is a lot. You want to look, the best viewing would be midnight to 4 a.m. You want to look to the south. The problem is from midnight to 4 a.m. we're probably going to see clouds. So my feeling is mid, late evening, early overnight tomorrow would be your best opportunity to get some breaks within those clouds if you're trying to view the Geminid tomorrow night. Looking around the area, we've seen the clouds clear. Tonight, actually, we're going to generally be mostly clear as we see the clouds continuing to slide to the east. You're probably wondering, why am I going all the way to the Pacific Northwest? I mean, we're talking about our next storm, right? This is our next storm here near Calgary. This thing is cooking. It's going to make its move across the country. There's a series of 2 disturbances. The first we'll get in tomorrow afternoon. But what this is going to do is kick up the wind again. Time lapse from around 10 through around 11:30. You can see the little shake to the time lapse, the winds. Very breezy outside. Right now our temperature is currently at 33. Our dew point is way low, showing this is Arctic air. At 8, we've got a west wind at 8 miles an hour, and it feels like 22 degrees outside right now. Our air temperatures aren't that bad, with most of us near about 30, but the problem is that doesn't tell the whole story because we have breezy conditions. Notice the wind's dying down to the west a little, still gusting 25 to 30 in the southern part of our area, and as you would imagine, it means wind chills that are cold. 19 Bedford, 19 Shelbyville, 19 in E-Town, 21 in Corydon, and 23 in Munfordville. It's obviously going to be cold during the overnight tonight. What I think we're going to be is mostly clear. I think tomorrow the winds shift back to the southwest, and I think this really should allow the temperatures to surge. Now, advanced track showing 41, but I think we can actually make a run to near 50. Could see a few showers in the evening. Front blast through late tomorrow, and you'll see tomorrow night we transition over to these snow squalls. What is a snow squall? It's a high-intensity burst of snow. It doesn't last that long, but if you're outside during one of these, there's no question you can get some slightly deteriorating road conditions. 23, mostly clear tonight. West winds will come down in the 5 to 10 mile per hour range. Tomorrow, the skies are partly cloudy. It is going to be windy going to 49, winds gust to 35. 30% chance. It would be rain showers tomorrow afternoon. It would be snow squalls tomorrow night. And as we move towards Thursday, 37. Friday, we're up at a 20% at 39, mainly only flurries. And Mike, it looks like we're going to see warmer. I'm going to talk low 50s coming up in about 10 minutes.
All right, that'll be good for the weekend. Unfortunately, because of this water main break, we still have some problems with some roads being shut down this afternoon. If you're in the area of Shelby Park, here's what still closed down. As you can see from this water main break, Jackson, Oak, and St. Catherine Street still having the water advisory out there. We've had traffic a little heavy here. Dixie Highway, Gars Lane, Crumbs Lane, 7th Street Road at the intersection, and a little heavy out on the Waterston traveling westbound, especially Newburgh up that hill to Poplar Level Road. And then it's very slow between Poplar Level Road and then making those ramps over to I-65. And then 64 westbound, starting to see that slower traffic once you pass the Oxmoor Farm overpass. and then right up to the ramps at the Waterston West. From the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with WDRB Traffic.
Thank you, Mike. And here is what that water main break Mike just mentioned. It looked like earlier today. WDRB's Travis Ragsdale will have a live report with cleanup efforts just ahead.
Plus, he rode to the polls on a horse. Now voters are deciding if they want Roy Moore in office. Who he's telling not to vote for him in Alabama's Senate race.
Governor Bevin has been talking about calling a special session to address Kentucky's pension fund problems for months. But if it hasn't happened by now, is there really any more need for urgency? That's coming up on Point of View.
Alabama voters are finally getting their say in a Senate election dominated by claims of sexual harassment.
Democrat Doug Jones and Republican Roy Moore are vying for the seat formerly held by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Moore rode to the polls today on the back of a horse. It is the latest in an election that has turned into a spectacle. Moore faced decades-old allegations of sexual assault, which he denied. His own party asked for him to drop out of the but then in the final days before the election, changed course and started campaigning.
If you don't believe in my character, don't vote for me.
I've made my position perfectly clear. Let me say it again. I had hoped that Judge Moore would resign, in other words, withdraw from the race.
This seat is vital to the GOP in the U.S. Senate, where Republicans hold a 2-vote majority. President Trump takes to Twitter again, this time pushing back against allegations of sexual misconduct.
They're false accusations, fabricated stories, and fake news. Several women who accuse Trump of misconduct are asking Congress to investigate. After Senator Kirsten Gillibrand called for his resignation, Trump tweeted she was a lightweight who came to him begging for campaign contributions and would do anything for them.
It's part of the president's effort at name calling, and it's not going to silence me. It's intended to silence me. It's not going to silence the women who have stood up against him directly, and it's not going to silence the millions of women out there.
The White House says these allegations were well documented before Trump became president and that voters made their decision through his election.
Taking a credit card scam all the way to the bank.
I was wondering why my PIN wasn't working when I came in here. I was like, what's going on with this?
The local ATMs where credit card skimmers were found and how you can protect yourself.
Plus, another live look at a massive water main break near Shelby Park coming up. Why cleanup is going to be such a challenge.
A water main breaks in the middle of a busy street, causing issues you can see all over Louisville.
Yeah, cars nearly drowned underwater. WDRB's Travis Ragsdale explains why it's going to take so long to fix this mess. Travis?
The good news is here that things have gotten drastically better over the past few hours. Even in the past 30 minutes since we last spoke, we can actually see parts of Clay Street now. That wasn't the case just a little while ago, but there is still lots of work left to be done. Clay Street now is a raging river.
The roads.
Around 7 o'clock today, more water.
There was water rushing down the street.
Sending water 8 feet into the sky.
All I could see was the roof of the car. That was it.
Power and water both out near Shelby Park. Roads closed. Cars and even some homes flooded.
My neighbor, Jackie, screaming, "You gotta move your cars, you gotta move your cars."
I just wake up this morning to go to work, and all of a sudden I jump in the swimming pool.
Our units proceeded to rescue 3 individuals that were in need of rescue. Two of them being in a passenger van. They were trapped and could not make their way out to safety. The other one being the driver of the Jefferson County school bus.
All 3 of those people are okay. From the WDRB Skycam, you can see just how far the water spread.
I've seen some floods and stuff, but nothing like this.
It was a 48-inch pipe that burst, leaving Louisville Water with a challenge because it was installed in 1893.
We're close. The water's almost off, but in the meantime, we're starting to prep for repairs. So once the water is turned off, we'll get in, actually see the pipe, see what it looks like, what the damage is.
Louisville's aging infrastructure manifesting itself in one mess of a way.
It's like taking care of your car. We've been doing that year after year. The problem with these gigantic water mains is that until the last 10 years, the technology just wasn't there to inspect them because you have to empty the pipe.
An hour ago, the Louisville Water Company said there was just one valve left to close off that led to this water main. That's when crews could get in there and actually see what went wrong. That's what crews are trying to do right now. We're live in Shelby Park. Travis Ragsdale, WDRB News.
Travis, thank you. Scammers cashed in by ripping bank account information directly from a local bank.
WDRB's Jessica Bard shows us how criminals are using the ATM to steal your money and the best way to protect yourself.
Fraudsters are targeting several ATMs across southern Indiana, and Centra Credit Card Union employees say they actually found a credit card skimmer at an ATM just like this one. It's the holiday season, and that means holiday shopping, but not for some Centra Credit Union members last weekend.
I was wondering why my pen wasn't working when I came in here. I was like, what's going on with this?
Gregory Smith was one of many whose debit card was frozen because this was found inside a Centra Credit Union ATM on Sunday.
I use this one quite often.
This skimmer was found inside the ATM on Veterans Parkway in Jeffersonville. The bank believes other southern Indiana ATMs were also targeted.
What we were finding was that the criminals were using the debit cards to access our members' funds.
They found evidence skimmers were used at the one on Hamburg Way in Sellersburg and on State Street in Columbus.
They're putting these in remote locations, so it's not at a typical branch location. It's one of the remote ATMs.
Centra is urging anyone who used the machines over the weekend to monitor their accounts and contact the bank right away. The FBI and Secret Service are now investigating. President of Centra, Rick Silvers, says there are secrets to finding skimmers at your ATM. He says a white glue-like residue around the card reader slot could be a clue there's a skimmer inside. Criminals may have put a skimmer over top of the reader if it feels loose. It could also be an indication of a skimmer if it's harder than usual to insert your card into the reader. Or there could be a bar that looks like this anywhere above the PIN pad. This could be a camera criminals use to capture your PIN. It could have an official logo on it, making it difficult to spot. Silvers says bank employees even suspected this skimmer was on the ATM in Jeff and still had a hard time finding it.
That's the interesting thing. The criminals are always trying to stay one step ahead, so we're constantly assessing what we can do so that we can try to beat them at their game.
Jessica Bard, WDRB News.
A state lawmaker accused of sexually assaulting a teenager says he will not resign. Representative Dan Johnson spoke to reporters from the pulpit of his church in Fern Creek. He denied allegations that he molested a then 17-year-old girl in 2012. The girl says a drunken Johnson assaulted her in an apartment inside the church fellowship hall.
This allegation concerning this lady, this young girl, absolutely has no merit. There is no...
The accusation is politically motivated. Both Republicans and Democrats have called on Johnson to resign, but he says he will run for re-election next year. We are getting a lot of reaction on social media to this story. Here are just a few of your responses. Martin says, if you're not guilty, then let the investigation continue. Or is there something more you're afraid of getting out? Ernie flat out doesn't believe the allegations. Sergio points out when your own party turns against you, you know there's at least some truth to it. And David adds, the only court of public opinion that even matters is his district. Let us know what you think right now on the WDRB News Facebook page.
Family and friends are preparing to honor a mother and her 2 children killed in a Southwest Louisville apartment fire. Archie Riley and her 16-year-old daughter, Savannah Cooper, and 11-year-old son, Cameron Harris, all died in that fire that broke out last Tuesday at their Shanks Lane apartment building. Police say this woman, 26-year-old Donisha Peden, started the fire following a domestic dispute. She's now facing murder charges. A celebration of life will be held at 11 Friday morning at Valley Hope Center, followed by a burial service. Visitation will take place on Thursday, also at the Valley Hope Center. The family set up a GoFundMe page to help pay for the funeral expenses. You can also donate through Republic Bank, care of Southwest Family Ministries.
Minion Mania in New Albany gets millions of views online.
Have you seen this? About 70 of the yellow characters made famous in the movie Despicable Me filled this yard on Indiana Avenue. Every night, crowds of people show up to see the holiday display, and now millions have seen it around the world. The Old Town store in Corydon posted a video of the display on Facebook about a week ago. Since then, it's been viewed nearly 7 million times and shared more than 85,000.
I've got cameras inside the house. I think kids just amazing. Run up and down the sidewalk, just worth it just to see that.
The Minions stay inflated until about 11 o'clock. This weekend on WDRB in the morning, find out why the family started decorating with Minions. Pretty cool, huh?
My kids will love it.
Yeah, you can now take a trail ride on a horse right from the comfort of your own home.
Windstar Farm in Versailles is offering virtual horseback rides. You'll get a view from a GoPro. This particular horse has distorted humor. The GoPro videos will be open to all. The farm says it plans to change up the horses so you're not always virtually riding the same one.
Uber in hot water again.
What the company did after a bombing in New York City.
Temperatures will drop late again tomorrow, and I think that produces some snow showers. We get more precipitation where the rain-snow line ends up for the weekend next.
Get more news and weather updates. Download WDRB on your Alexa app for your Echo. Now available.
Prosecutors say the man accused of detonating a bomb in the New York City subway expressed hatred for the country.
Akayed Ullah's passport included several handwritten notes. One of them said, "Oh, America, die in your rage." He's also accused of posting to his Facebook account on the day of the explosion, quote, "Trump, you failed to protect your nation." Ullah is accused of strapping a crude pipe bomb to his body during yesterday's morning rush and detonating it underneath Times Square. His pipe bomb left him with burns and several others with minor injuries. Uber and Lyft are coughing up refunds to passengers who got slapped with surge pricing at the worst time. In the aftermath of yesterday's Port Authority bombing in New York City, users were hit with fares that were jacked up 2.5 times normal rates. The incident shut down subway activity. Surging occurs automatically when there is increased demand in one area. Both companies say they disabled their surge pricing within minutes of reading news of the explosion.
Merriam-Webster's word of the year is feminism. The definition of feminism is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. In 2017, Merriam-Webster says searches for the 20% compared to 2016. There have been a few instances where searches skyrocketed. On Washington in January, along with the Me Too.
WDRB weather, sponsored by Baptist Health, centered on you.
Just a sliver above freezing right now, but the temperatures are going to be rising.
And it feels a lot colder.
It's cold outside. I don't know if you guys have been out lately, but it is rough out there. So I think we're going to see some temperatures even surge as early as tomorrow. It's going to be windy, and then we'll see snow showers late. So there's going to be this up and down, and I really think that's probably going to define our next 7 days. But tomorrow we're going to have to time out when those snow showers are going to be possible as we make that transition. Let me show you what we've got going on around our area. We saw some flurries. Actually, I was out there this morning. We saw some of those snow showers out there. It wasn't enough to cause problems. I told you quantity would be low. You know, the tricky thing about a scenario like this morning is you just have to be cautious of a burst. The bursts can cause problems. The lighter stuff really doesn't. And you see as we go to the northwest, there really is no major issues. This is our next disturbance. It's crazy. You're talking about a disturbance in western Canada that's going to be here midday tomorrow. Jet stream is absolutely roaring above us. 45 the high today. What? 45 degrees. We're just talking about how it's cold. That actually occurred at midnight. The temperatures were falling through the afternoon as that cold front came through. 33 now. West wind 18 means our wind chill is 22 degrees. And I think this is going to be a big story as a lot of people step outside from work today. It's really cold out there. Our temperatures are near freezing, but our wind chills are way colder than that. It's 18 in Shelbyville right now. It's 19 in Bedford, 20 in Hardinsburg, E-Town. Temperatures down 21 degrees in the last 24 hours in Louisville. So to say It's getting colder would be an understatement. Winds today, I told you, would be strong, gusted to 35. You'll notice there's a warming trend to the west, and I think this is going to start to play as we go towards the weekend. First off, tomorrow we start off chilly. You'll see these snow showers miss us, and this is going to be our front in the afternoon. So anything that falls in the afternoon tomorrow, while I don't think there'll be much, it would be a sprinkle. Then tomorrow evening and tomorrow night we would transition over to a few of these snow squalls. Remember, if you get underneath one, the intensity could briefly come down pretty decent. By Thursday afternoon, I think we're going to be quiet. And as we move towards Friday, you'll still notice there's a lot of clouds, a couple snow showers moving through. Weekend, the highlight is going to be a warm front moving through Saturday and warmer. And you can see the system on Sunday, the rain-snow line right now, looks definitively north of our area, so a cold rain Sunday. Tonight we're down to 23 degrees. Prepare. It is going to be chilly tonight. Tomorrow afternoon our high comes in at 49, 30% chance of a rain shower afternoon, snow squall tomorrow night. Thursday we're 37. Friday I've got a 20%. Good news is Saturday, warmer at 51. The bad news is Sunday, while warmer, Mike, looking likely that we're going to see a cold rain in the area.
Don't like the cold rain. All right, thank you, Mark. We've had traffic has been a little bit busy this afternoon. Take a look at two things here. 64 eastbound heading out to the Snyder, and then take a look at Middletown. Shelbyville Road, very heavy as you're coming in from Evergreen, Blankenbaker, and out to the Snyder. We've also been a little bit heavy on Shelbyville Road out in front of Oxmoor and Mall St. Matthews. And we still had that slower traffic once again out on the Waterston westbound. We are bumper to bumper from Newburgh right back over to the ramps at I-65. And then taking a look at 65 through downtown. We don't see any backups on the bridges and still looking in pretty nice shape here on 64 near the 2nd Street area. From the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with WDRB Traffic.
And thank you very much, Mike. Tom's up next to sports. Louisville basketball got an easy win last night.
They did. Had a little trouble with a pretty overmatched Bryant University team. David Padgett trying to figure out whether a recent trend could be something to worry about.
Now, with Point of View, here's Bill Lamb.
There are two reasons a Kentucky governor should call a special legislative session to deal with a specific issue. The first is that it's of extraordinary importance to the Commonwealth's citizens. And the second is that it's so important it can't wait until the next regularly scheduled session. For most of this year, Governor Matt Bevin has been promising to call a special session to fix Kentucky's underfunded pension plan. And given the scope of that problem, I think it qualifies as important enough. But it's mid-December. And since the next regular session is set to convene in Frankfurt on January 2nd, it seems that the need for urgency is pretty much past. It's clear that many of Bevin's Republican allies in the legislature agree. They correctly point out that at this late date, there's little to be gained by rushing to fix a problem they plan to address in less than 3 weeks anyway. And the fact that each day of any special session cost taxpayers of Kentucky approximately $65,000 should erase any doubt in the governor's mind about abandoning the idea. We do need a pension fix, but if they can't come up with one in the 60 days of a regular session, I can't imagine what might come out of a rushed special session. But call and tell us what you think. I'm Bill Lamb, and that's my point of view.
You can't necessarily win or lose the game in the first 5 minutes, so there's no need to panic if we don't get off to a great start. But nonetheless, we need to try to see what we can do to get off to a better start.
David Padgett answering multiple questions last night about the Cardinals' penchant for slow starts. Hasn't happened every game, but it has been happening. In recent games, they trailed at Siena deep into the first half, and they fell behind by double digits in Saturday's win over Indiana. Last night, it was just a 1-point game before outscoring Bryant 20-5 to end the first half, and then running away to a 102-59 win.
You can't just make one shot to go up 60 and win the game right away. You have to fight hard for every single possession. And we looked a little sloppy at times in the first half, and we got together and guys, we need to finish this right now. We got to get 3 stops in a row, go out, score easy layups and drive, and let's finish the game right now. And I think we did that in the last 4 or 5 minutes in the first half.
Maybe I just need to accept the fact that we're going to be like that. I hope we're not, but most importantly, they responded, they figured it out, and we did a good job of getting the ball in the lane and kicking it out for threes. We did a good job of that, and we got some easy ones and created some points off our defense as well.
We're just 4 days away from WKU head coach Mike Sanford's first bowl game with the Toppers. The team will head to Orlando later this week for the AutoNation Cure Bowl. Western will face the Georgia State Panthers Saturday afternoon at 2:30. The program undefeated in bowl appearances the past 3 seasons. Sanford hoping his team can keep that streak alive, even though an earlier than expected bowl game gives them less time to prepare.
It's a unique experience playing in these really early bowl games. It's a really neat experience. You don't feel like you probably have that month-long rust. I felt like today we were able to implement a good chunk of what we want to do from a game plan standpoint. But the biggest thing is just it's always great to be playing this time of year, to still practice and still be able to get that development up for your football team.
It is a quick turnaround for this Saturday's bowl game.
All right, thanks, Tom. We'll see you at 6.
All right.
We want to let you know, because of that water main break in the Shelby Park neighborhood this morning, 4,000 Louisville Water customers are under a precautionary boil water advisory.
This is the Shelby Park area. Everything you see shaded in red here, from South First Street on the west end all the way to Barrett Avenue on the east end. As far north as Lampton Street and south as East Burnett Avenue. Everything you see shaded in red under a precautionary boil water advisory, because when the water pressure drops, that may allow bacteria to back up into the water line. Considered a precautionary measure at this point in time, you should let your water boil to a rolling boil for at least 3 minutes before drinking it.
Be sure not to use that chilled water from your refrigerator or ice from your automatic ice makers as well while this is in effect, and we'll keep you updated. Well, coming up, no real purpose to this video other than the fact sometimes it's funny to watch people fall down.
Especially because this woman wasn't hurt and was a good sport, laughing at herself. We're going to tell you what was going on when we come back on the other side of this break. First, the Mega Millions jackpot today, $191 million. Tomorrow's Powerball, $229 million.
Everyone, this insane fail.
2 Japanese teenagers decided to hit the ice. One of the teens you see here hadn't skated for about 4 years. Clearly not going well. But before we continue, important to note that she is cracking up at herself throughout the entire video, which is, by the way, 37 seconds. And every time she hits the ice, you can't help it.
It's making me nervous.
Well, don't be nervous. BuzzFeed reports that no one was hurt. The video has since accumulated more than 10 million views.
Of course it has. Have a good night.
We're back at 6, 10, and 11.
Big play right here. Shotgun snap, drop straight back to throw. Fire